I'm just going to go into a little flow, a little word play, and then I'll probably kind of end at the end with a little energy update. So thanks so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos, welcome. Welcome back to all those that have seen these videos. So I'm just going to go into a little word play, which moves the energies around, shifts the energies around, shifts the vibration and the frequencies in which I share. So you can feel into them if they don't make any logical sense, if you want to. And as we shift through our many different perspectives, as we allow ourselves to step out of the rejecting that which seems unlikely, rejecting that which comes up from the streams of light within us, letting go of the need to feel rejected by another. For this is all a particular particle, a particular pattern that many of us have or are having reflected back at us. We are being invited to let go of the need to be controlled by others, letting go of the need to control others, and letting go of the expectation within our respiration, if you will, play on words. For many of us are moving through as a breathing entity of light, of particle exchange, of inner geometric, I'm hearing geometric economics. So whenever I say that, I see an ecosystem, I see geometries that make up our blueprint, I see the earth as being a geometry that we are connecting in with through our tree of life, through our tree, our connection of light. And again, I'm being invited to remind everybody to step away from judgment around even the words that I'm using, because it's a multidimensional linguistical play on words, which is not meant to be taken literally. So if we have a concept of what the tree of life looks like, we're being invited to step away from that and just let that concept go without judgment based around the words that we're using, so that the other layers and the other meanings can flow through. And as I say that, I'm seeing meanings, means, golden means. And we allow this energy to flow through us, for we become the living light, breathing codes of all that we exist within. And we are unifying that which has been inaccessible before. For as the code holders, I'm hearing cold fusion, as the cold holders, as we allow ourselves to fuse through the confusion, as we allow ourselves to step out of the stream that has been constantly streaming in to separate us, to clear us from our own, I'm hearing discord. So it's a play on words, it's double. There's a lot of streams that have been coming in to distract and separate, but there's a bigger stream coming in to pull all of us back into unification and oneness, even with our own bodies. And in doing this, we clear the discord, we clear the disharmonization that has been kept within, held within, remembered within our framework. When we say framework, I say we, it's just my multidimensionality. But I'm seeing literally our bodies, cellular memory. I'm seeing references to the memories that we have within our DNA, and past, present, future lifetimes, if you will, and experiences even in this lifetime as well, that are held within our brain. Okay, I'm having a play on words here. I'm seeing we're allowing ourselves to dock into the dodecahedron, but it's more than that. So I wrote this down in one of my posts. It's a particle accelerator. But what is a particle? It's a charge. And what is this but a frequency? And as it moves through, let's say, a wave, and I'm just doing that so we can visualize what it looks like, right? Or how it's measured is what I'm hearing. This allows us to step into our full set of alchemy, if you will, And yet we also draw awareness to above and beyond for this 12-sided shape, if you will, this 12-sided geometry. And I'm being guided to play with docking into a full deck, dodecahedron. I'm hearing do, a deer, a female deer. Ray, a drop of golden sun. Be a name I call myself. So that whole song, by the way, is mad flow for me. I wrote it in one of my blogs. I see do as a do, drops of do, make action, so much. So I'm seeing the sun, I'm seeing the codes that are coming in from the sun, and I'm seeing literally this decking into our system. This brings us into a 12 harmonic range versus whatever the old one was. It brings us into open paths of is it dichotomy? But I'm being played with that. I'm hearing dichotomy. This is all stuff I need to write down. But I'm seeing this essentially so much. It's activating the grids that are within us that are connected to the earth. And it's activating certain harmonic codes of existence that have always been, I'm hearing, accessible and attributable. So we're docking into attributes that were inaccessible before. And these attributes of alchemy are allowing us to alchemize within certain frequencies within a new geometry. And this is a play on words. There's another word with geometry that's coming through that I haven't quite been able to map out yet, so to speak. So this allows us to play on a different trajectory. Where we were going may be different than where we are going now. And the more we open up ourselves to see that, but when I say see, I literally see us feeling into it through our higher capacity, through understanding our bones, our bonetrics, so much. I should probably just write this down. I'm going to try to stay in flow though. Our dielectrics are dialing up. I'm hearing red solo cup. I fill you up, let's have a party. So when I see that, I'm seeing Han Solo. I'm seeing literally flying solo. Yet we have an entire network that we're flying within. So we're still supported, right? We're still supported. We've got support. I'm seeing literally the cup that runneth over. And I'm seeing literally moving through seeing red. So a lot of people, when they get angry, they see red. But what I keep getting this message about is the red and the blue road of the ancestors, the future and the past, coming together in this purple unification. And I keep saying, literally, we are purple. Like we are the new color combination, but it's beyond that. It's another color. It's another layer in our DNA. It's another sound chord. It's another vibrational frequency, and I'm hearing vibronics. A vibratory frequency in which we exist and we spell within. For as we allow our linguistics to overlap, if you will, to overlay, and we go beneath into the deeper lay, I'm hearing ley lines, and I'm hearing Princess Leia. And I'm being shown a partnership, like Princess Leia and Han Solo. They were better together. And as we line up with these new frequencies in our abode, in our own abode, if you will, we let go of those old frequencies. I'm seeing Flesham. I'm seeing a commode. That's a toilet. We play with these codes in such a way because we wish to share the playfulness in which we all share. For when we share in this frequency of delight, it lights up the senses in such a way that it scrapes off the barnacles that have been holding us down from I'm seeing the speed of a boat. When it's got a lot of barnacles on it, you have to scrape them off in order to let it go a little faster. It bogs us down in this space of concordance, inconsonance. We could really play with this. So what I'm seeing is, like, I think it's when you have a lot of issues with your gut, but I'm also seeing this as a play with like consonants and vowels. Like, we're blocking ourselves from playing with the true living light codes and how vibrant and how expansive they really can be. I'm hearing consonants and vowels, so it gets trapped in our gut. And I'm hearing also that I'm hearing the continents. So it's like this contentment. It blocks us from feeling bliss. It blocks us also from reaching across the continents. So I see the earth. And everything through the earth, the water connects everything. The oil that's in the ground and underneath connects everything. It's like the cerebral spinal fluid, right? And the water holds codes and particles. I'm hearing that's a play on words. It's like, what is a particle, right? It's a piece of something. So I'm seeing that when we have all of that within our bodies. My friend Candace and I were just talking about this on the live that she did on Facebook. Candace K-O, if you're interested in that. And she was, she and I were on this flow about the grandmother energy and the earth energy and how this is all of it's coming online. Our bodies are the earth. Water, right? Salt, all the minerals, down to our bones, which are the crystals. The cerebral spinal fluid is our oil that essentially lubricates our entire field. The fascia is that mycelium network that covers the forest floor. We are the forest. So we know this, but there's been so much discord and disharmony that it's really created this separation. And again, walking barefoot on the earth, what do? We usually wear shoes. I had shared, Candace pulled a card and it was horse, medicine horse, no, something horse combination. But horse to me is freedom. We've essentially blocked ourselves from this free-flowing energy that is supposed to keep us connected through the fluidity, through the bandwidths, through the fabric that we're all connected into. And so essentially we're calling back to us we're remembering our own inner power, right? Our own inner freedom in order to, and I'm hearing, let freedom ring. It's like that ringing in our ears. It's our ancestral memories. It's our ancestors talking to us through the bloodlines, through the ley lines, through the lines of connectivity, the connective ligaments that connects all things. So we are essentially, the more we can be in a space of allowing, the more true I'm hearing, the more it rings true. So that way we can differentiate between what is true and what isn't. And so I could go into so many different layers with that, because what is real? What is true, right? And so we're starting to remember, this is what, keep going, this is how we do it. So we're starting to relate back to, we're relating back to what we really are, what we really were, and what we have this potency to become. And that's all a play on words as well. And so I'm hearing the land before time. So I'm gonna have to go back and find that other flow where I wrote about this, because I'm seeing the two combine. But the land before time, I'm hearing, has a certain rhyme and a certain reason. And it has a certain way of talking and communicating with us beyond time, if you will. So we're connecting to all of our roots, no matter what timeline, no matter which geometry it was encased within. For we are holding this higher frequency, and it's allowing us to communicate in this way. And I'm being guided to briefly share that if we don't feel like that's happening to us, Like I can already hear, somebody asking me, well, how come this isn't happening to me? How come I'm not hearing this? You are. But letting go of the expectation of what that sounds like is the key. And let me go back. When I say you are hearing this, that doesn't mean everybody's choosing to. So most of the time, if someone's reaching out to connect with me through whatever reason, they're hearing this or they want to hear this and they're open to it. For those that are not open to this, they won't even find this channel, most likely, or they won't be able to have even made it this far through the channel. So it's kind of like we're all connecting in our own way. And I'm being invited to remind everybody to let go of what that looks like or what it needs to look like, what you think it needs to look like. Because as I was kind of sharing earlier, it's coming through in how we taste and how we see things and how we feel things. It's coming through in all ways. So we may think that it has to look like we're going to see these major visions of what we were in a past life, for example, or what our spirit animal is, or auric fields, right? But truly, it is individual and unique for every person in their own experience. And that's the beauty of it. And in doing our own inner journeying, and I said earlier, our inner work, I find it inner journeying, exploring within and asking ourselves, what's different? Because oftentimes I'll work with someone or just even have a conversation with my family. I was talking with my mom earlier, and I'm like, well, what's different than last week? Because I can tell from speaking with her, a lot has changed. But she was kind of repeating old habit patterns out of habit and skipping over noticing what's happened over the course of the last week that's shifted for her. And that's important. And so this happens a lot in general for many of us. We're so in this habitual pattern of having a mediary. I'm hearing mediocrity, I'm hearing a mediumship. So this has been a big flow for myself and some of my fellow soul sisters and brothers. But essentially, what's happening is when we go horseback riding, we put a saddle on the horse. But in actuality, the horses, the indigenous people ride them bareback for a reason. Because you are essentially connecting with the horse. You're feeling the movements of the horse, and the horse is responding to your movements. And this is an actual chemical bond that is then created between the horseback rider and the horse, that is then essentially intuitively bonded and connected through the earth. So it is literally a communion. It's a coming together. It's a docking in to this dodecahedron, but I'm playing with that a lot because it's not just 12. There's a lot more than just 12 chakras and the 12 spaces on the geometries of which are archetypes, architometry, our geometries are connected into. It's bigger than that, but we've at least docked into this reunification of the 12 is what I'm hearing. The 12 tribes, the 12 in the tree of life, 12, 12, 12, 12. So, and essentially I bring it back into 3 because I play with that. I see that as double 6s. I see it as 3s, right? Well, then we have 3, 6, 9. So, I mean, it's definitely this lining up for us with these higher trajectories. But many of us, I'm hearing, have fallen off the horse. And we've fallen off the horse and we're afraid to get back on. We're frightened of the power that this animal is assisting with us, but we're not recognizing that we are part of that source stream. What is it from Avatar where they take their hair and they plug it in with the dragon? I don't remember what they're called, but that they ride. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Avatar is such. That's a true story. This allows us to tune back into our true harmonics. So oftentimes I'll say the truth and we might think, well, what truth? What truth are we talking about? Are we talking about our true DNA and the true history of Mother Earth and the true history of our galaxy? It's more about what feels true to us from what I'm playing with here. Does that feel right for me? Does this feel like this is my no, it just doesn't fit. And so I know I use that word interchangeably with other words, but that's my style. I play with this. So it's like, start playing with these new geometries that we're feeling come up through our roots, that we're coming into our awareness. And this is going to allow us to access the higher potentiality that we're all connected into. And it doesn't mean that everybody wants to do this. This is a freedom of choice. We have the choice not to network if we want to. But most of us, especially if you're watching this, want to. It's like, let's play. Let's activate to a higher potential, right? And so again, I'm being reminded to remind everybody, don't get lost in translation. And that's something that, what does that mean? What does that look like? What truth? Let's break it apart. And that can be useful at some times. But what I'm being guided to go into flow about is translation. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we are the transformers, right? And getting out of confusion is sometimes the confusion is being lost in the translation. We get so locked into a perpetual asking of questions that we don't stop and actually listen for the answer to the question that we just asked because we're too busy asking the next question. So that's essentially what I'm being shown in a nutshell. And it's great. I love, by the way, learning new things. And I love listening to some, I dive in a lot of this, but I'm reminded quite frequently lately, okay, that's enough. Put the brakes on, go outside and literally integrate this. Don't try to figure it out, feel into it. And let all of the codes that you've just accessed, the knowingness that's now being held within the nodes, within these little holding tanks is what I'm being guided to just play with these as, of information, to then just percolate and not worry about where that's leading to or where it came from. If we're in our hearts, we are in our true stream source to connection of love, of light, of harmony, of balance, of integration. And it's all that other stuff, all those other noises are no longer relevant and they don't stick. They can't stick to us. So I'm hearing brush it off, like brush, right? There's that dry brushing it off, moving it through, not getting stuck in it, allowing the energies to kind of dissipate that essentially are feeling uncomfortable. We can feel uncomfortable moving through this because sometimes things come up for us where we thought something was supposed to look a certain way, and all of a sudden those expectations let us down. It's not the situation, it's the expectations that are letting us down. And I'm hearing playing with that. Have you guys ever seen the movie Great Expectations? That's a really good, I'm being shown to use that as an example. Like the woman that lived in her house, I can't remember the main character, but she lived in this house that was basically falling apart within her, and she had gone mad because of a lost love. And so living in the past, she was unable to get unstuck, even though it was a beautiful, beautiful, anyways. It may open a can of worms for us, but I'm hearing worms. Basically, it allows us, I'm seeing Pink Floyd, and the worms ate into his brain. Gross, I know. But essentially, moving out of that, let go of worm soup, word soup, right? Let it go. Allow ourselves to move through, I'm hearing the wormholes. And as I say that, I'm seeing going back to the womb. Oh, we didn't cover that in the video. So there is this greater knowingness that when we go back to the womb, I think I shared this. I did a session a bit ago with Andrew Bartzis, and I've read his revocation out loud. He was a very powerful teacher for me while I was going through some of the experiences and awakenings that I was having. And he literally, in a multidimensional way, in meditation, brought me into a space that took me back to the womb. And I had experienced it before, but I had forgotten. We've all experienced it before. And I'm not necessarily just talking about going back to the womb of our birth mother. I'm talking about, and that one was the womb of the birth mother. You go back to the womb and you essentially create from that space love and harmony and appreciation and just feeling into that space. But also from my own journeying, I've gone into wombs of creation. And I say that plural because there may be more than just one that I've experienced. Also, I've gone into different spaces of creations and I've gone into the ocean in certain meditations. My point is that we are multidimensional beings, and the more we can tap into this and let go of the need to say, what does that look like? I experience fear because when you go into that space, it's something that's unusual. It's unused. It's not something that we've gotten into the habit of accessing. Therefore, it feels uncomfortable. So when we recognize that and we don't try to figure out, we don't have to figure out why. We can just recognize that feels uncomfortable. I'm going to sit with this for a moment and see if I can just integrate that feeling of discomfort. And then the why may show up for us. But on the flip side is what I'm hearing see you on the flip side, is it doesn't necessarily have to show up for us. It might just be that we just move through it and we don't have to sit and dissect it and get lost in translation. We can just translate or not translate and transmute. And I play with all those words. I know transmute and translate and transmorph are all different things, but essentially we move through, we transition from one into another. And when I say another, I'm hearing in one other, as one, not into something or someone else. We just expand. We just go into a different bubble, if you will. And many of us are journeying through different time templates right now. So I'm seeing templates, literally different time stamps, and I'm seeing plates, literally like plate tectonics, plate technology, plates, placement systems. A plate holds what it is that we're eating, right? It's a platform. So it's basically we're tapping into different memories, nutrients, sets that we aren't used to tapping into. And this can be very, what I'm hearing is disconcerting. Is that right? Disconcerting for some. So many of us don't know how to sort through this. And others of us are getting lost in it. And that's okay for us to feel that way. So let go of this need to not feel that way sometimes. And what I'm being shown is that it's happening so quickly that if we can just allow to process it from a space of patience, then we aren't getting lost in it. It's only a temporary illusion. So feeling into that and recognizing that this is temporary. And it's, again, temporary, temporal. A lot of this is just a reconfiguration that is assisting us in journeying into a deeper sense, deeper ability of sensing our awareness, a deeper ability, a deeper heightened ability to be in all of the senses at once. And this, again, moves us out of senselessness. So as I say that, I'm hearing less than senselessness, less than unworthiness, right? It moves us out of this incapacitated, like we feel that we don't have the control. But control is even a word that we've been playing with a lot, like letting go of the need to control. I'm seeing con-troll. Like there's this troll that's trying to con us out of something or con us into something, and just kind of letting go of that attachment. But that's a big play on words, so maybe I'll have to write that up. But it's just about, it's not even acceptance, it's not even control, it's beyond that. And I've talked about this before, the sound behind the sound. It's the control behind the control behind. It's past the green screen. I'm seeing the emerald essence. So the emerald essence reminds me, of course, of the Wizard of Oz. And they traveled to the wizard so that he could gift them what they thought they needed from an outside source. So oftentimes we have this idea that we have to control or we have to need we have the need to be controlled. And this is subconscious. This is embedded within us because of habit patterns after years and years and years of being this, accessing the same source of consciousness. But now we're accessing more. So where does that all fit into our box? And essentially that destabilizes us, but that's a gift, because the less stable we feel in the old box, the more likely we are to feel ourselves flow into this morphing into this new reality. So I'm just going to let that word even go. And when I play with that word and just say, okay, I'm coming into, or on the all. So when I say that, I'm recognizing that there is this deeper expansiveness that is coming within. And I'm also seeing contrail. Contrail. So it cons us into us thinking that we're on a particular path, when in actuality, we may be going into a completely different trajectory. So what is a contrail is left behind a plane, not to be mistaken for the other kind of trail, but it's literally behind a plane, and this is all a play of words. I'm seeing it's left behind. It shows us where we've been. It's because of the speed that we're going through this fabric, air, ether, plasma, all of it. It shows us the speed, and it essentially has to do with the atmosphere that we are connecting into. So if there's more moisture in the air, they stay longer, right? From one perspective. So, or if it's colder, or if it's hotter. So what that's doing is, when we tap more into that, we're recognizing, because of what's behind us, we're recognizing, oh, okay, this is too cold, make adjustments. This is too hot, let's make adjustments. It's not necessarily about needing to control, like, oh no, it's too cold, it's too hot, I have to change directions immediately. No, we allow ourselves to feel into that space, and then we move into this fluidity that allows us to essentially map, M-A-P, into a different time, trajectory, efficiency, speed, ratio, existence, all of it. So it's moment to moment choices on how we are responding to our inner awareness that is opening for us, and so much more. So I'm going to end on that note, just to play there. I know this is kind of a all over the place one, but the way that, and this is how I want to kind of end before I run out of time, energy. That was the energy update. This is what I'm seeing going on in the field. Our brains are activating at a higher frequency. We're creating new bandwidths. New colors are coming online. Everything for everybody is turning on in a different way. Some people it's going to be heightened smell. Some people it's going to be heightened taste. Some people it's not going to be any of that because they're stuck in lost in translation. But that can be temporary for them if they make that choice in that moment to move through that. And so that's essentially it in a nutshell. And because I'm running out of time, I'll continue this in a little bit more depth and detail if you guys are interested. I'm going to do some light language to try to help move some of the energies around in some fields. Yeah, so I'll have a lot more to share. Thank you so much for just sharing in these videos. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate this existence that we are all journeying through together.